Slide Job Racing Podcast brought to you by Oswego Family Chiropractic, the only podcast that reviews slide jobs. This is your host, Hunter. We're going to discuss slide jobs from this past weekend. Our top picks for this upcoming weekend. The World of Outlaws Sprint cars have a triple header. They have a busy weekend. NASCAR is at Nashville for the first time in 35 years. And we'll also discuss the Twin 35s in the Steel Palace Minute. Let's slide over to our co-host Chase. How you doing today?
Pretty good. A little overwhelmed about all these races coming up, but pretty excited to see what we think.
What do you say we slide right into last week's slide job review?
Sounds good to me. All right, I'll start it off this week. So we're over at the Battle of Legends at Wayne County Speedway for Ohio Speed Week. The first one's going to be the senior of the Hardin Shields, Jack Hardenshield, sliding past Kyle Larson. Going into the third turn, Hardenshield's coming down low. Larson tries to go high, get up in that cushion. Hardenshield shuts the door on him, gets him down the straightaway. Larson does end up passing him later, but it was a really good slider for... He might have a few gray hairs, but man, he can still do a good slider.
Absolutely. Yeah, Jack Hodenshaw's got an awesome yellow Penske car, a little throwback there that Rico Abreu built for him. So really cool car he's got going there, and going against a new legend, of its time, I guess, Kyle Larson. So great battle between two legends. So yeah, then we're gonna go a little bit later in the race. We have Larson once again. That's going to be sliding Paul McMahon in the 5 car. This is the car that Brett Marks was actually running before. So the 5 car that Kyle Larson's sliding was Brett Marks' previous ride. But right now Paul McMahon's in it. And Larson enters the third corner low. McMahon kind of runs the middle of the track, and Larson's able to slide up underneath him and get the pass. So, Chase, where do you think the best chance for a slide job this upcoming weekend? They got a lot of options.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of good options, I think, like you said, this weekend. But I always like the high bank tracks more for the sliders. I think they can kind of carry more speed into the turn and have to let off a little less. So I'm going to go with Beaver Dam Raceway. I think it'll be the best spot for the nice slider this week.
I agree. It looks like it'd be a little small track. They'll be ripping a close 11-second laps. They'll be cruising around there, and once they get lap traffic, it's going to be slide job city, I think. So that'll be an exciting race to watch, and I look forward to seeing it. Hopefully, no one gets too banged up because they have a lot more races to go.
Ain't that the truth? All right. So how'd we do for last week with your picks, Hunter?
Sure. So the Outlaws were at Knoxville for a double header. You picked Donnie Schatz for the first night. They had a 25-lap feature. Donnie Schatz started second, ended up fourth, so not a bad, not terrible showing for him. They were the top 5 cars were really, the top of the line. Really, the top 7 or 8 guys. Heck, you can even say top 10 guys are really the best of the best. You got Carson Macedo and you got Logan Schuchart, Kerry Madsen, Schatz. Selzy, like literally the top guys were all dicing each other for the top spots. I had David Gravel. He ended up 7th. He started 7th. It was pretty cool, actually. Interesting race because unfortunately for us, the Slide Job Racing podcast, there wasn't a ton of slide jobs, but the track they had it trimmed up pretty well that there were just 2 lanes, so guys would get really good runs on each other. What it seemed like is someone would be coming down this, for example, the backstretch, entering the third turn, and they'd be running the middle of the track, and the guy ahead of him would know there's a guy behind him somehow. I just kind of hear him or whatever, and the guy in front would kind of cut down inside so no one could ever get the advantage on him. So it was pretty interesting to watch. A couple guys tried to stick their nose in there, but they had to slow down or it just didn't work out for them, or they both ended up sliding up the track together. So not a ton of slide jobs, but yeah, the guys who definitely weren't letting each other under each other, which made it exciting. See James McFadden, he was the hard charger. He gained 8 points or 8 positions in the race. So pretty good showing for him. And Carson Macedo got the win. He led just the last 3 laps. So those are the ones that count. Him and Kerry Madsen had a great battle for the lead, and Macedo, they got into lap traffic, and Macedo ended up getting the win.
Yeah, it was pretty like you said, a good race. It's interesting to see Donnie Schatz. He's finished top 5 again. I think he's looking at the stats. He's number 1 on the list for top 5 finishes this year, which he's got to be so frustrated sitting at 299, just getting top 5 every other week or every week. It seems like, but it's good for the payroll, but it's got to be frustrating for his mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. He's used to winning all those races. So yeah, definitely got a little bit frustrating for him. But Chase, the second night, you and I both committed to Brad Sweet.
Yeah.
That didn't go so well. Really didn't go so well. He had kind of a rough night overall. He actually started sixth in the last chance qualifier, and I believe only 4 cars out of that make it into the race. So he actually started the last chance qualifier out of the race. He would have got him. He would have paid his way into provisional, but still, that's not setting himself up for great success. As you see, he started 22nd out of 25 cars. So yeah, really started at the back of the pack.
Yeah, I read something on him earlier that he hasn't finished, I think, top 5 in the past month. In the past month for him. So how many races that consists of? But 4 or 5 weekends of racing. He hasn't finished top 5. I apparently, don't quote me, but that's what Twitter says.
I think you're right though. And he's actually still the points leader because he's consistent. Like he's not having terrible finishes. 16th isn't great, but he's not getting 22nd or 25th. He's still gaining positions.
Yeah.
But the points race is as tight as it's been since March. The top 3 guys in points are only spread about 60 points apart, and the top 6 are 200 from each other. So definitely a tight points battle. You kind of like to see it, honestly. You don't want one guy just to take off on it, because if Brett Sweet continued to get top fives the last month or so, he'd probably be way ahead of points battle. And not that points mean a ton, but it just kind of makes it exciting. It's another secondary thing to watch. Like, oh, it's going to be exciting because of this point battle. And sometimes the guys race each other differently. If they're racing for points, because I think it's a big money fund if they win it end of the season.
Yeah, for sure. That always helps. Well, plus and morale going to the next season.
Yeah, definitely.
You never want to not go for points, kind of thing. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's see here. So, and some excitement during the heat races. Casey Kane was actually during the last check qualifier. Casey Kane and Brad Sweet were both racing in that, and Casey Kane actually spun a local person. It wasn't intentional. Actually, the other driver even said it wasn't intentional. They were both in the corner, and the one car in front slowed down a little bit. And Casey Kane didn't expect it. I think the other person was a little bit newer. Casey Kane bumped the back end and spun. I think it was actually a female driver and spun her right out. And she was in the qualifying spot, and Casey Kane actually got that spot, and he qualified it, and she didn't. But it was actually pretty cool to hear the interview with the lady that got spun out. She's like super positive. She was just more or less excited to race with Casey Kane, which is kind of a cool take on it, because some people will be awfully upset about that, which can't blame them either. But man, Saturday night, it was a late night. They started at normal time, and then the running a normal show, and next thing you know, before the feature for the Outlaws, they legit took an hour and a half or 2 hours to redo the track. And I get you want the most exciting race, but dude, it was so late. It was after midnight. It was literally over an hour of track prep. Like, they had one tractor, maybe 2 tractors in the corner. It's a big track, Knoxville, so they're just tilling it up, and the tractors are gonna go so fast. So they're just, and it's it's a pretty wide track and it's a pretty big corner, so just tilling it up, and it took them legit over an hour to get the track ready. So it's like, was that worth the good racing? I don't know, honestly. Like, come on.
Yeah,
But
I was definitely counting cheap at that point. So. That's way too much for me. Cool little note I saw here is that Carson Macedo won his first back-to-back outlaw feature races, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, no, Carson Macedo, he's in a great car. We talk about him a lot, just kind of by naturally the way he's finishing in the car he's in. He's in the Jason Johnson car. It's always cool to see the Jason Johnson car win at Knoxville. There's some history there. The car owner, Jason Johnson, that passed away at another track, racing with the Outlaws. He won the Knoxville Nationals geez, in 2017, I want to say, and he had an awesome quote. It was, I can't say it on here because we were kid friendly, but it was an awesome quote, very motivating, and it's always cool to see Carson Macedo and Jason Johnson win because every time a Jason Johnson car is in victory lane, Jason Johnson's kid Jax always does a wing dance with the winner, which is pretty cool to see. Probably a 7-year-old, maybe 5-year-old up in the wing celebrating. It's pretty cool that he's able to do that.
Yeah, it's always awesome. That's what it's all about. Racing's all about family and fun, stuff like that. So it's always cool. So
Absolutely.
then the last race of the weekend will be the NASCAR All Star Race at Texas Motor Speedway. This one there was a lot of weird was it rules or
Stages, really.
stages? Yeah,
It's just all around confusing.
Yeah.
That's the hard part is they're trying to change it up because everyone complains about NASCAR no matter what they do. To be honest, it's like the stages are too long, the race is too long. It's 500 laps. Okay, we'll break it up, and we'll have stages, and it's now the races are like 100 laps each, and they still get the same TV time, so they get the same money from TV, and people complain about that. So then it's in all-star races they try to do like something different every year. So this year they did like what 10 lap
I think it's
stages,
15.
15 lap stages. And I heard some people negative about it, but that's kind of natural. Some people said it was kind of nice because Texas is an awful track to race at overall. Just no passing, so they said, hey, about 15 laps into it, we were pretty spread out, so why not throw a caution flag, get us bunched up, and have a restart, double file restart, maybe cause some excitement. The other part of that was the format was they would invert the finish. So, if you finish first, they draw a pill, and it's like, okay, the 8 pills, so the winner would start 8th, and kind of so on and so on. So you couldn't really run strategy off of that, which kind of made it different. Different strategies. It was hard to make strategies, honestly, because you didn't know where the redraw was going to be, so you couldn't really, milk it, or you had to take advantage here or there. But once again, the top guys always race to the top. Like, you got your Kyle Larsons, you got your Keselowski, Elliott, Logano, Blaney, Bowman. They're all up top, no matter where they invert, which I guess makes it exciting, right? That's the point. They want those guys to show passing. Like, they had to get there somehow. So if they won the first stage and they started last in the second stage, that means they had to pass 22 or 21 cars. So I don't know. It just, whatever they do, it's going to be a lose-lose for NASCAR.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, I guess how did our picks end up this week, Hunter?
sure. So you had Hamlin. That was a great pick because he ended up 21st, which is last in the All Star race. Only 21 cars make the race. He started 16th. I had Kyle Busch.
Yep, finished ninth.
Yep, and he started second. So, really good movement there. Going the wrong way though, which is unfortunate. Interesting to know, like. The All-Star race, they only let 21 cars in. I think there's one fan vote, which I believe the fan vote this year was Matt D.
Yep.
Exactly. And it's kind of weird to see, like, Bubba Wallace didn't make it in. Like, so people like that, just kind of interesting to see, like, different, maybe it is a true All-Star race. Only the top guys make it in, and, get a fan vote in to make it exciting.
Yeah, cool. And of course, we Kyle Larson stealing the show again. He's just an animal. It's awesome. He's just a lot of just dominating in almost every race he gets a seat in. It's pretty cool to watch him do his best and see him bounce back from that year off or he got that in trouble and stuff. So always good to see him do well and yeah. How about we break it into Cavitation Corner, Hunter?
Sure, yeah. Chase, why don't you tell us about, Swigo Family Chiropractic, the one that brings us Cavitation Corner?
Sure. Swigo Cavitation Corner is brought to you by Swigo Family Chiropractic. Swigo Family Chiropractic is a family-focused, personalized, and results-driven chiropractic clinic with a mission to promote greater health of the Oswego community. Oswego Family Chiropractic is serving Oswego, New York, and the surrounding area. Dr. Ryan Barker and Dr. Chase Sizer are committed to providing chiropractic solutions to address your unique needs. Find Oswego Family Chiropractic on Facebook, Instagram, or at OswegoFamilyChiropractic.com. Give us a call today at 315-326-0440. All right, let's watch this race here, Hunter. So a little disclaimer: Hunter picks the crashes, and I just watch them without previewing them. So let's see what we got here. Looks like Yeah, go
Yeah,
for it.
so we're at Orange County Fairgrounds
Oh boy.
Speedway. We got
Oh
the big
boy.
block modifieds. It's not. It really shouldn't be funny,
Oh
but
no.
man, this guy went for a heck of a ride. So
Yeah.
let's say they're in corner. We'll say three.
Three. Yeah.
Entering three, the guy I don't know the driver's name unfortunately, but so there are two
22.
cars,
Yep.
22 and I don't know who's in
43.
front of 43 are entering the corner together. The 22 is following the 43. The 43 hits the corner a little too hot and spins out, and the 22 hammers the brakes and kind of bumps into the guy that's spinning. So now the 43 in front is half sideways. The 22 is now bumping into the rear end of the 43, and they're in the corner with some great speed. So the 22 is sideways, bumping in. His front nose is hitting the rear corner of the 43 in the middle of the corner. And then all of a sudden, the 22 just goes for a heck of a ride. This dude probably did about, I don't know, 7 to 10 flips.
Yeah.
Absolutely cranking flips. And he blows through the outside billboard fencing.
Yeah.
Actually,
It looks like he just landed on an F-150's trailer or truck bed.
yeah, not ideal landing spot.
No. But yeah.
It was a heck of a ride. I think the driver's going to need to make a trip to a single family chiropractor, see Dr. Chase or Dr. Barker.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, it was weird. He got both flips in there. He got the hot dog and the hamburger style in there. So that was pretty good. But that's a good example of why we have ABS in our cars now. As you can see, he locked up his number 22. The guy did flipping, locked up his brakes and started doing the tire hop. Started hopping along, and that's when he caught the nose into the ground and started flipping there. So yeah, he needs a little concussion protocol there.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, look, I think the driver was okay. He was a little banged up, but yeah, he's gonna be back racing before no time. So Chase, what do you say we slide into this week's predictions? We got a lot of picks coming for you fans. The first race will be for the Outlaws with all the sprint cars. Will be at 34 Raceway on Thursday night. It's a 1/3 high banked oval. The track record was established back in 2008, and the track record is 12.2 seconds, established by Steve Kinzer. Chase, who do you have going to win the 34 Raceway race for the Outlaws?
I got my main man, Wayne the Rock Johnson, coming in first this week. He's looking for one. It's been a little while. I think his first one is at 34 Raceway, so it'll be cool to see him come back this week and get his another win. How about you,
Yeah,
Mike?
that'd be exciting to see Wayne Johnson, get the win. He does his podcast at Wednesdays with Wayne. So check that out if you're ever bored listening to find another podcast. At Wednesdays with Wayne, it's a good one to check out. But I'm gonna go with Donnie Schatz. I don't know. I have high confidence for Donnie Schatz. He's kind of had a rocky season, not a bad season whatsoever. The last, so you got 4th in Knoxville and 12th in Knoxville, and the weekend before that you got a 2nd at Granite City. So I think Donnie Schatz has a good chance to winning there. There was another note there. Donnie Schatz was only one of the 2 active outlaw drivers that have wins at
34.
34 Raceway. Schatz won back in 2014, so we'll see if he can get his first win of the season there at 34 Raceway.
Yeah, how about, was it Dubuque?
Dubuque Fairgrounds Speedway.
Yes.
It's a 3/8 mile speedway, and let's see, who do I have winning there? Because Dubuque's a little bit smaller track, and our main man Sheldon Hodenshield likes to rip on a small track, and I think he can contain his tires. His last average finish is about a 4.6. The last 10 races, he's averaged a 7.6 average finishing spot. At Knoxville, he finished 3rd and 12th, and he had a couple thirds the weekend before that. So I think he's kind of heating up. If Sheldon can keep the tires underneath him, I think we're going to see Sheldon in the victory lane.
Well, let's see if it works out a little better than last time, because I got the good old boy Sheldon too. Last
Doubling
time we
up.
had the same picks. Brad Sweet finished 16th. So same kind of reasoning for you. He just rips the corners of the smaller tracks. So I think he's going to be up there, if not in the first position. So then we're going down to Beaver Dam?
Beaver Dam
Beaver
is
Dam
right.
Raceway. That's got to be Wisconsin. If that's not Wisconsin, I don't know what is. Anyway, I'm going to go with Logan Schuchart. He's I think he's always another top five finisher. This seems to be kind of like his he's obviously another good slider, so he's high banked 1/3 racetracks, kind of right up his alley. Um, but another good pick. Well, let's see who you got first.
Sure, yeah. So I'm gonna go with Brad Sweet. He has been dominant there in the past. He has won 4 total wins at the Wisconsin track Beaver Dam. He's tied for the most wins at Beaver Dam. He's tied with his former teammate Darren Pittman that no longer races for the Outlaws. But I think Brad Sweet's gonna get his 5th win at Beaver Dam this weekend.
Sweet, yeah, that's what I was going to touch on. I saw he's won there in 19 and twice in 20, so he was my second runner-up, but thank God we didn't pick twice again.
Yeah.
All right, how now we're finally going down to Huset Speedway?
Huset Speedway, yeah. Who do you got there? You want me to go first?
No, I got it. David Gravel. Apparently he gets sponsored by a racetrack, and this is the one he gets sponsored by. So, David Gravel's the man.
Damn, this is going to be a boring podcast because I got the man himself, David Gravel, because he's actually, I think it was after Granite City last weekend, not Knoxville weekend, but the weekend before Knoxville. They raced Friday, Saturday, and I think they actually only raced Saturday because it rained out on Friday. David Gravel and team went to Huset Speedway on that Sunday for their feature, the race at Huset, because he is sponsored by them. And truly just get some laps, and I believe he won that race. So, David Gravel is going to be the guy to keep an eye out for. His owner, the car owner, owns the track, so a lot of pressure there. He's got a couple laps there, so it'll be exciting to see if David Gravel can pull it off.
Yeah.
Chase, the final predictions we're going to make this week is for the Nashville Speedway for the Cup cars.
Yeah. This is pretty cool. They have raced here, I think it was in 35 years. So that's pretty cool to see. Always new tracks, always awesome to see. I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney. He hasn't been too hot this year, but he's one of my favorite drivers. So I think he's going to be up front, or at least I'm going to go with top 5 for this weekend.
Yeah, I think he's got some good odds to win there at Nashville. Kind of seems like his kind of thing. He likes to rock the the cowboy hat and stuff.
Look, man.
So definitely his look. He can fit right in with the win at Nashville. So, but I'm gonna go with Denny Hamlin. He has 1 win this year at Talladega. I feel like he's been like hit or miss. He's kind of like checkers or records. Like literally, he's got a 4th place win, but that's a road course at Sonoma. And then he got 14th at Charlotte, the 19th and a 2nd at Dover. Earlier in the season, he had a good run, a good streak of like second. He's got 2 wins this season already. One at Atlanta and one at Talladega. So I think he's going to get his 3rd win this weekend for the FedEx office Joe Gibbs Racing car.
Sure. Let's see if Chase Elliott will finish a little bit better than his dad did this past weekend at the SRX Racing, huh? That was an interesting race. What did you think about that, Hunter?
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. It was something different. I think that's what race fans are always looking for. People, like I said earlier, people complain about NASCAR no matter what they do. At first I was kind of like not turned off by it, but I was kind of like, there's so many little short track. They're invading all these short tracks, Stanford, Knoxville, I think Slinger Speedway later in the season, IRP. Those are all where short track people race, which is awesome. But my thing is like, there's already the NASCAR modified. There's already, different kind of late models or super modifieds that are already kind of like they are the small track people. Why are you reinventing the wheel and building a whole new car? But at the same time, I don't know if you'll be able to build a field like they did. You won't be able to find 12 cars to fit on all these superstars. You got your Bill Elliott's, you got your Greg Biffle, Tony Stewart's, Bali Bonti, all these legendary cars. If you're fitting yourself into a NASCAR modified car or series, you won't be able to get those superstar guys in there. There simply wouldn't be 12 cars available unless they built them all for these guys. But thinking back on that thought, I don't think that would work out. So once I kind of watched a little bit longer, I got excited. It was pretty cool to hear or to see a different brand of cars. The first time they ever raced against each other. The format was a little bit different. But what are your first thoughts on it?
Yeah, I can kind of the same thing. It would have been cool to see him run, some already established series of cars. But once again, I think this is basically baned off the IROC races where they got all those Porsches and just race those, trying to do the same kind of thing there. So I can see where they're coming from, but also I can see trying to promote an already established series and make them bigger. But I think there's a lot more into that than saying, okay, let's just make our own. Let's screw all your rules. Let's make our own rules. Let's do our own thing. Format, like you said, is a little weird. I didn't really like the two 15-minute heat laps. I think maybe one would have been great. That's awesome. I can see maybe they took that from like the Formula One where they do their heat laps. It's all timed stuff. But how they did the first lap, and then you get the first heat, and you get inverted for the second one, and then you take your finishing position determines your starting for the second one. That's a little wonky. Obviously, if you're really trying to win this race, you would just dog the first heat, save your tires, and just cruise on the second one. But hey, I don't know. Maybe it's kind of hard to jump down these guys' throats in their first weekend. It's still, I think, for what it was pretty cool. It was some decent racing. It was really really fun to watch. I wasn't in love with both the announcers. I think Hunter and I have a mutual feeling with that. But I don't know. What about you? What else we got to talk about here?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, the format was a little bit weird, but it's a work in progress. And like I heard other people talking, like they built this series over during I think so 2019 they first started about it, and 2020 came around. They kind of got really kicking off, but then COVID happened, so I'm sure there was other like hiccups in the middle of the road there, for them. So I heard people say they were concerned with the first year because they obviously wanted to start well, but they're really just using this first 6 races, this first year, as a building ground for next year, what they can do, what they can improve on. So, like I said, they're going to keep changing things. I guarantee it. One thing that was kind of funny was they call it the fun flag, which is kind of like a competition caution. During the feature, the main race, there was 20 laps in or so. They kind of got spread out, so they threw the flag. And honestly, like for a person like me, I was in a group chat and they're like, "Oh, why they throw the caution?" I was like, honestly, they got spread out. They weren't going very fast. They were just kind of running laps at Stanford, which wasn't too exciting, to be honest. So I started looking at my phone. I stopped watching. So I'm sure, and I'm a pretty big race fan. So if I stopped watching, I couldn't imagine how many people change the channel.
Yeah,
So why
exactly.
not throw a caution, get them kind of reset, restart, and get them all close to each other, make it exciting. Restarts are probably the most exciting part of the whole thing. There was a couple of big moves. I think Marco Andretti made it 3 wide between Tony Stewart and Doug Coby, the local guy. Speaking of local guy, it was really cool to see Doug Coby to get a chance. His car was actually racing at Oswego Speedway on Saturday night. He had a replacement driver to run the modifieds up at Oswego. So it's pretty cool, the little connections there to the Steel Palace. And it was awesome to see him get the win. I don't think it was like staged for him to get the win.
No, I don't think so at all.
No, I was a little bit concerned when I think who was it, Greg Biffle that got second.
Yeah, he was
He had,
flying.
yeah, so he got in a little tangle up in the heat, one of the second heat race. So they had
I think he blew his radiator, or punctured his radiator, so they get a replacement
yeah,
car.
exactly. So
Yeah,
they
and the
bring
replacement car had the brand new tires, so he was the only one on the track with fresh tires. So that's one thing I would change too. Is I don't get why after the 2 heat races you can't get a new set of tires. Probably because of cost, I would imagine. But running one set of tires for two 15-minute heats, which they probably ran 30 laps in that, and then another 100 lap feature and one set of tires, like what other series uses that one set of tires for that long?
So that actually brings up a good point that I meant to bring up earlier was tires.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason behind that, and I don't know, I'm not sure what brand they. I'm not sure if they're using Goodyears or Hoosiers, but I know for the Hoosier side of thing is what a lot of the bigger series use is there's actually a shortage of tires during COVID. Hoosier stopped making a ton of tires because there simply wasn't that much racing going on, so they didn't need that many people, and they had to lower the capacity of their factories. And now they're having a hard time getting people back in the factories to start producing tires again. It's not like a materials lackage. It's literally just the manpower to make the tire, because it's actually a pretty manual process to make these racing tires.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that'll incite someone to make some kind of automating system to make the tires more efficiently instead of relying on manpower.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I
but
did.
yeah,
I did talk to my local mechanic too, and he said there was going to be a tire shortage this summer. So I kind of forgot about that too. So interesting.
maybe it's not just Hoosier then. Maybe it's just like maybe they all made in the same damn factory. Just
Yeah,
put a different
it's probably
seal on
all
it.
the same shit from China. So
Exactly. So yeah, that's an interesting note to bring up. So I don't know if that's going to be a normal thing for next year too, or maybe once the tire situation gets figured out, because the prices are just getting ridiculous for tires too. So that could be a factor trying to save cost. But what they could have done for Greg Biffle, if his car was beat up but his tires were fine, why wouldn't they just take the four tires off
yeah,
of that car? Off the car that had a broken radiator and throw it on the backup car, that would have been equal, because that car had about 39 laps on it from the practice earlier the day before, but everyone else had 39 laps on them plus the 15-minute heat races, two 15-minute heat races. So there's just a dramatic amount more laps on them.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Like you said, growing pains. I think they'll figure it out. It's what's his name? It's Ray Emerham
Abraham.
Jr. So he knows what he's doing. He's obviously a smart guy. He knows he's the one that throws the caution flag. He knows what a good race looks like. He knows what's fair. I have plenty of faith in him to figure this out and make it the way that a fan would want to watch. So
Exactly. One cool thing I saw people were talking about on Twitter was it'd be sweet if they can publish like the setup sheets, and it's nothing we can adjust or anything you really care about. Just the little like there's no competition. Like they want all the cars to be the same, so the setups should be very similar. It should be really cool to see like all the setups, the different like how they're setting the cars up to make them go around the track. It's like some fans won't care at all about it, but some fans will find it really cool. Speaking of fans, next weekend they're getting a lot of fans at Knoxville Speedway, where Brian Brown will be the local guy for this series.
and he's a sprint car guy, right? That's what we
Exactly.
just talked about. Yeah. I was
Yeah,
like, that's
so-
the same. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Brian Brown, he's a local sprint car driver at Knoxville. He jumps on the Outlaw Tour once in a while when they're local. He always does pretty well. He had a rough start this season, couple big crashes, but it'd be awesome to see him, compete with these superstars and see if he can pull off be the local guy that wins like Doug Coby did last weekend at Safford, and see if Brian Brown can get the win.
Yeah, I was
At Knoxville.
I was talking to my dad about it. Like it's a lot of pressure for these next guys, the next local guys to come up. Like, hey, you got these 12 or 13 or what 12, 11 superstars racing behind you. Yeah, you got to beat them since the first guy did. Like, ooh. But yeah, how about we can pop on over to the Steel Palace Minute?
Sure, yeah. Last week, they had a normal regular 50-lap feature. It was an early night for the supers because they had the 150-lap wheel and modified race, which Del Kobe was supposed to be racing in, but he had a replacement driver. So the Steel Palace ended a little bit early for the supers. Let's see here. Chase, you picked Brandon Bellinger to get the win. He ended up 10th. I picked Dan Connors Jr. He ended up 14th, so not the best picks for us. This upcoming week they have the Twin 35, which is always a cool night. If you're a fan, you go in to watch, you kind of get the price of two features for one, which is always exciting. This race historically has actually produced a lot of first-time winners. I think Sean Goslin got his first feature win at Oswego during the Twin 35 night. He actually won both of them on his first win. He won the first one, and then he won the second one, which is pretty cool. Chase, who do you have? What's your predictions for the two Twin 35s?
For the first one, all right, I think mine will be interchangeable, whatever. My two guys I think will win at some point tomorrow or this weekend will be Tyler Thompson. He's been kind of figuring himself out, whether it's fuelage or last week he didn't run so hot, but like I said, everyone's tweaking, make a few changes. I think this week he'll come out strong. And then Otto, this is the first time I don't think we haven't said his name too much. So once again, like I said, a lot of first-time winners and a lot of veterans who have also won this race. So those are my two.
Sure, yeah. I was actually going to pick Otto for one of my wins, too. It was interesting. He made a comment after the race. He finished 8th last weekend, and he made a comment after the race. He's probably just frustrated, too, but he's making it sound like this might be his last year at Oswego racing supers. He's mentioned that in the past, I think, but he's got a car owner that owns like 4 cars, so it's hard to kind of drop it and change to something else.
Yeah.
So I think Otto's going to get one one of the wins this weekend, 35s. And I think Joe Gozick, one of the legends at Oswego, is going to get the win for the other 35. He's had some decent results. He got fourth, um, 2 races in a row, and then it started off ninth. So, but I think Joe Gozick will get the win, one of the wins, and Otto will get the other.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Well, Chase, I think that's all for today's episode of the Slide Job Racing Podcast. Fans, thanks for listening. Chase, thanks for sharing your opinions and giving some picks for this upcoming races. Fans, join us again next weekend when we talk about our picks and predictions for next week. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode.